So today we're looking at a Seiko 5 by the collage artist Kosuke Kawamura. Now this watch is a limited edition, and we're taking a look at one of his pieces, the SRPJ41. And here we unbox it. It's got this really cool box to it. Nowadays you don't have the manual. It just gives you the warranty card, and that's about it. No booklets or anything about the watch. So that's all you get nowadays, and it says there you can get a manual if you call that number. So that's kind of standard now with the Seiko 5s. Now the artist Kosuke Kawamura, he's a collage artist, and he was born in Hiroshima, and he started off as a graphic designer, and he started exhibiting his artworks in the early 2000s. Now it started in Japan, and then his artworks reached around the world. He did tons of collaborations, some from Adidas, G-Shock, Uniqlo, Gundam, Akira, and Evangelion. And he's a collage artist, so here's one of his pieces he did for this Seiko 5 release. And since he's a collage artist, he took different parts of Seiko 5s from the 70s and put it together to make this unique modern looking watch. So there's his signature on the bottom of that poster here, and here on the back I thought this was pretty nifty. Well, we'll get to it. Miss one more part right there on the top, and there's the whole work. So we'll fold this over and let's take a look. So here it's basically a blueprint to all the different parts that he used to make the collage of this watch, and it tells you the different reference numbers. And see that one, 1970 release, the bezel's in 1969, so late 60s into the 70s to create it. So he shows you in this blueprint how he came up with this collage of a watch. And again, his artwork, he's a collage based artist, so it's really cool to have this collage based artwork. So you can see there the dial, the different rings inside, and then of course his signature in the back. So this folds up, it comes in the box, it's protected by that little piece of foam there. And then here, let's take a look at the watch. It's just a cardboard box and foam, but this is a killer presentation. It just looks really cool. The minimalist design, especially when you have a watch that's got a lot going on color-wise. And it's a modern feeling watch, but it also feels vintage at the same time with what he did by taking the different watch pieces to make it. And then you can see it's deep in here. Pull it out, get a little bit of a closer look of this guy. Just stunning, very different than the other Seiko 5s we're seeing. What's nice about Seiko 5 is, they're really kind of going a little nuts, coming up with some very, very creative pieces. And this one, and they work with different artists, and this one is pretty neat. Check a look at that translucent dial, but you see how they highlight the center there, so it's still easy to see the date. So, but then you can still see the markers on the back of the dial because of the translucence. And this one's half orange and teal, and the other one that he made, it's going to be a black and a teal. This one is a limited edition, and this piece here is limited to 3,000 pieces. What I like is the stainless steel quality here of this too. It's not as shiny in your face. It feels almost like a lived in, kind of like a worn-in pair of jeans. But the steel on this watch feels like it's not a brand new watch. It's got a different feel to it when you compare it to other newer shiny Seiko 5 models. And here you can see the signature on the back. Got it upside down there, and trying to get it in the right light for you. And there you go. This is going to be a cool collector's piece. Just wearing a watch like this, it's sure to get a lot of attention just because of how unusual the design is and how kind of retro and modern it is at the same time. This of course uses the SKX skeleton. It doesn't have the screw down crown, so that's what makes it a little different. It is a 4R36 movement, and that's automatic with manual settings. And so that's about a 40-hour power reserve. They say 41 hours, but to me it feels closer to 40 when you're wearing it. And here's a close look at that dial. Take a look at that transparency. It is really cool. So you got the day of the week in Japanese or in English. I kept it on the Japanese here to show it to you just because it's kind of cool, because it's a Japanese artist, and of course Seiko is from Japan. It's got a 10-bar water resistance, and the lug width, if you want to change the lugs, it's 22 millimeter. So those of you like to switch out the bands, man, think of all the crazy bands you could put with this watch, really, because you got so much going on the dial. You can make it, kind of your own thing, your own collage, so to speak. And it's just it's neat for the artist to take what he does and really implement into the watch. So you had the vintage designs from the 60s, late 60s to 70s put together to make this watch. The artist, again, Kosuke Kawamura, he's done tons of stuff, like I said. So it's nice to see him here with Seiko 5 and coming up with something really, really cool and unusual. Seiko 5 has been coming out with some great stuff. And let's take a look on how this guy looks on the wrist. And we'll put it on in a second here. And with TV Magic, boom, there you go. Now my wrist is a 7.5 inch wrist, and this is the SKX model, basically the head. And so if you've had one of those around, it's the same thing, same size, same kind of thing. This one was around 42 millimeter, I believe. It was 42.5 millimeter. The thickness on these guys, 13.5. And from lug to lug, it's 46 millimeters, from top to bottom there. So it's just a cool design. That bezel really stands out, and then the dial kind of hides back. So it's kind of like, it frames the dial nicely, and it kind of brings you into this retro world, but then it still feels like something new today. So again, 7.5 inch wrist, so you guys can imagine how it would look on you. And here it is in the dark. You've got the loom with the hands and the little pip on top on the bezel. So real simple loom, but it does glow very brightly, so it will be easy to read. And you got those thick hands, so it gives you a lot of loom on there. So I'd like to take the time to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, you want more, please like and subscribe. And I appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Thank you.